I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is Thursday, June 29th at 5 o'clock-ish. 5:07, better late than never. And this is the meeting of the Holyoke Economic Development Industrial Corporation, HEDIC. We're going to do a roll call.
Tessa Murphy,
Yes, here.
Joseph McGivern,
Here.
Antonio Quinones, Carl Eager,
Present.
Rosa Pantojas, Mark Cutting, and Callie Flanagan.
Here.
Great.
Chair Murphy, Ron Belletti, if I can make a motion, because we are hybrid with Zoom, that we would take a immediate vote to have all incidental votes be just by voice, any final votes to be by roll call.
Do I have a second?
Happy to say it.
Great, Carl seconded. We'll do a roll call for that.
Yes.
Carl Eager,
Yes.
Mark Cutting, and Callie Flanagan,
Yes.
and Tessa Murphy.
Yes. All right, so with that, we will get the item number 2 on the agenda, is HEDIC minutes, the board business. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Move approval. Second,
Second, all right,
if I could, under discussion.
under discussion, yes,
I'm
sir.
not sure who penned these minutes, but fantastic job. They're the best minutes I've ever read
Honestly.
in my life. They're just detailed and accurate, and I know much appreciated. And the whole city council reads these minutes, and they appreciate
sure do.
The accuracy and everything.
Yes, so thank you very much. I know it's not an easy or a fun job, so thank you. Any corrections or changes? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
So moved. Great. The HEDIC financial update.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
was his recording for yea or nay?
Who, Mark? That was a yay. Yes.
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 Because it came in delayed, I wasn't.
No, I guess I'm so used to that now on the council, so my apologies, yes.
There's an inherent latency on the Zoom, so just FYI that there may be, like, it's not a second and a half or 2 seconds.
Oh, okay, got it. Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
In case anyone swears, we can block them out.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's like the
The FCC thing, right? Okay, good. So HEDIC financial update. Does staff want to provide us with any information?
Yes, I think I can take that, that's okay. So our standard summary that we provide every quarterly to the board, and I think everything is, aligns with the previous report. There's been no significant changes. I think what you'll see is our cash balance is increasing as the note receivable decreases, which is what we like to see. We did receive our twice-a-year payment on the Jackson Canal loan of the $18,000 plus. That was added to the account. And we've been, at this balance, we've been receiving some pretty decent interest on the bank accounts. We did want to talk about that a little bit more. And then we have an arrangement through our foreign trade zone program. The one company that's active now is Pro Ampac. They provided us with their annual fee of $5,000, which was their third year of providing this. Our agreement with them was for 3 years. That had some options for renewing that we'll review at a future date. But for this year, that was their payment. The real estate has remained the same. We are in the midst of finalizing the extension for the 11-acre land up on Whiting Farm Road, having some discussions with HG&E about that to try to look at exploring ways to get that, get some more exposure for marketing and getting a use there. It's a good location. We just need to find the right use there. I think I'll pause there and just if there's any questions or added comments.
Great, thank you, John.
Sure.
Any questions? comments? Okay, seems pretty straightforward.
If it's okay, I just wanted
Yeah.
to, maybe this is a good opportunity to add, at our last meeting, the board, I think it was the last meeting, our board approved us allocating money towards the loan programs. And, we're not going to create, I think the approach was we're not going to create separate bank accounts, but we're going to track that internally. But the other thing that came up and just, seeing interest rates, there is the opportunity for us to set aside some funds in a term deposit, a CD, which HEDIC would do in the past. I think our mission is not to put money away for, sit in a bank. But if we're looking at something like a short-term CD, maybe like a 6-month term, we may be able to increase our funds, beyond what we're getting in interest now. And I did some quick calculations, and it's probably in the range of $10,000 to $20,000 if we put some funds away. And talking briefly with Aaron about it, most of our projects that would require our funds would need a period of time to evolve, and we may be several months before a project gets started. So it's just something, a consideration to put out there for discussion if the board wants us to take any action or explore those options over the next month or so.
Yeah.
To see if we could, increase revenue while the money's in the bank.
Yeah.
Just wanted-
Seems like a really positive idea to me. Makes a lot of sense, especially if it's a short term. But I will see if anyone has any other comments on that. Carl?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, say that again, Mark? Go ahead, Mark.
No, I was, Carl, if you want to go first. No, I was just wondering what's the current rate right now, John?
I believe
Is
it's
it in
it's just their governmental money market account. It's getting about 3% interest.
Okay, so what are you thinking? You thinking 4.5% on a short term?
Yeah,
rate
exactly.
on a CD?
Yeah, 4.5, hopefully 5%. I think, hearing our treasurer speak at some department meetings, he's been able to make some arrangements to, get some better interest rates on funds that he manages. Whatever we would do, though, would have to be 100% secure funds. We couldn't risk any of the funds, so we are limited there. This is probably standard banking CDs type things, not anything in the markets, just because of we need the security and the guarantee that these funds are fully there.
Yeah, low risk, I got it. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Carl?
Yeah, just picking up on where Mark, that's where I was referencing. 6 months, you're good for 4.5. Up to a year, there's some offering a little over 5. So the key really is how long do you want to tie it up, for what period, really? I'm surprised that it's just been getting standard interest?
Yeah, that's
I know that we've caught on and had it 100,000, so we'd not be at risk, but
I think we've made arrangements with the bank where all our funds are fully insured. I think what we've seen really, and I think if if people follow it, the rates have really gone up in the last year or so with banks. We were, it was very minimal up until about a year ago. We were lucky to get 0.5%.
Yep.
And so it just, I guess the point is, if this money's going to be sitting here for a short, even a short period of time, we could be doing a little bit better on our revenues and.
Yeah.
And,
goes without saying.
Yeah, for sure. Any other comments, Callie?
Yeah, I was just wondering, what dollar amount were you thinking about putting aside?
I really haven't got that far. I
Yeah.
was thinking, probably in the, we have a cash on hand right now of 1.8. Of that, 500,000 we've allocated for the loan program. Even if we put 500,000 or up to $1 million in a short-term account, it's there. We know it's there in 6 months to be liquid. And if there was ever the occasion where we said, we need to access these funds sooner, then the penalty might not be much more than a month or two of interest anyway. But and I think the other thing we would try is we would want to have the funds in the local bank, in a bank that has a very strong Hoyle presence. And those are the kinds of things we would look at.
Good, thank you.
Madam Chair, I would just suggest that
Oh, yeah,
we could make a vote, that it goes without saying.
sure. Yeah, I
The
see.
latitude to have staff
Yeah,
do the best they can. They don't need us to be looking over their shoulders. But
absolutely.
I'm prepared to make a motion to make sure that they can execute
I just want to
that.
give
But I
Joe,
would say
a moment.
incrementally two
Yeah.
500,000s. If we've got 1.8, 500, we can afford $1 million. 500, making sure it's secured. If you want that in the form of motion, so move.
I'm gonna hold for just a second and allow Joe the opportunity.
I was just gonna add, with the merry-go-round, we just did a 10-month, and we got the 4-4, which makes sense, because about 4 or 5 years ago, you weren't getting it, and everybody was moving, the parade committee, we moved some stuff around that Callie could probably tell us, but we did something else. I'm not even sure what. But I think it's a good move. I think it makes sense, numbers, if you feel comfortable that we can, survive on $800,000, $900,000 free. It makes sense. Maybe even one short term, one a little bit longer.
Stagger it.
So Carl was ready to make a motion. Do you want to change anything based on anything
No,
Joe
just-
said?
The latitude being given to staff,
Yes.
our intent being
one
to
thing-
maximize
and-
the yield that we can within the limitations of risk.
And any transaction that we would do would require, two of the board members to authorize the transaction. So at least 2 board members would be,
So be-
signing off on whether we have to withdraw funds or open an account.
Great, okay.
So,
Okay. So I hear a motion from Carl. Do I hear a second?
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, wait,
This one-
discussion.
No, this one should be a roll call.
This one should be a roll call. Yeah, definitely, Joe. I knew that.
It's a final vote, and it's
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Okay.
We're gonna do a roll call.
Okay. Carl Eager,
Yes.
Mark Cutting, Callie Flanagan,
Yes.
Yes.
Tessa Murphy,
Yes.
Joseph McGivern, sorry.
Yes.
Antonio's not here. All right.
Great. So that passes, 1, 2, 4, 5 to 1, 5 to none, 5 yays. Okay, I've had a really long week. I'm so sorry. All right.
And I don't know the answer to this, just technically, 'cause I know sometimes it's different. Do we need to still say the names of the people that aren't here, or is it okay not to say them? Does it matter?
Oh.
Again?
5 yays, 2
But does
absent.
do they need to roll call Antonio Quinones and Rosa Pantoja every time?
No,
Brenna
the
doesn't.
roll call for attendance took care of that.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Now it's just a roll call
Okay,
for
for
those
who's here.
present. But,
Okay.
yeah, Good question.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm learning too, all right.
Great,
thanks.
love it.
Okay.
Here for it.
Okay.
Sure you want to leave, Joe?
Sure.
Okay.
Those were my thoughts
All
coming
right,
into the
so
meeting.
our next one, is that it on finance updates, staff?
I think that's it. We will talk about the Whiting Farm Road, just a general update on the next topic, but I don't think there's anything else on the report here.
All right, great. So item 3 is the HEDIC loan program update. Super excited that this was rolled out, and I'd love to just hear what updates you have.
Well, it was rolled out, but I think we're in a long rollout.
Yep.
We did get one inquiry, which unfortunately didn't pass the pre-app phase, but we did encourage them. We drafted a nice rejection letter, if you will, and pointed out some other loan possibilities for this person, SBA loans, CDBG, et cetera. We also know that the Mayor Garcia did allocate some ARPA funds for a small business loan program that'll be starting up, so, things are okay with that person. But we got our rejection letter together, and so we got that stuff. But I want to give, obviously John's been a lead on this, Marie's been a lead on this, but I know, and just briefly, we spoke on the way in, Madam Chair, but I did want to give Marie a moment to talk a little bit about some outreach ideas that we're kicking around. And
Yeah, definitely.
We'll probably follow up with you with your other hat on.
Great.
So,
Marie?
Yeah, we've discussed the idea of doing a type of like office hour events and maybe reaching out to like the chamber and E4All and doing like being available just for questions with the maker loan specifically, just because since it's geared towards small startup businesses, we thought some type of event maybe when E4All has the next class graduating, or maybe going to the High Street Small Business Association and just doing some like small presentations and being available for pre-applications on the spot and questions for people.
I think that's really helpful because a lot of these businesses, just because of what I do for work, they're not always comfortable or familiar with the process of applying for a loan. This might be their first time, even knowing that this kind of a loan exists, that's not a traditional bank.
yeah.
So-
And I think that obviously we've made it very easy, so this is a kind of a good first loan experience, if you will.
Yeah.
We will loop in Kevin, who's the TDI fellow. We learned the other day that the Business Association is going to be meeting on the first Thursday every month, so we would plan on going to one of those meetings.
Definitely.
Maybe connect with E4All as well, so we want to work on that. Obviously, it's summertime, so maybe people aren't paying that much attention, but we can start it, and obviously think about the fall. So I don't know if there's there's really no other updates as far as the program.
No, I think just to add, maybe some direct one-on-one reaching out, especially to the larger manufacturers. We did announce it at the last mayor's manufacturing meeting, and we'll continue to do that. But I think some of the, and also to local commercial bankers, I think that we need to get on their radar screen also.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because that's especially the equipment loan, it's a participation loan where the bank will take the lead, or a primary lender takes the lead, and we come in and take the second position.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
and it's a lot less, it's more focused than what we had before, where our program in the past, was for real estate, working capital, probably a couple of, acquisition, building improvements. Right now, it's for equipment. We'll see how it goes over the next few months, and try to get the word out better, and then see from
Yeah.
there.
Great.
I just want to point out that I'm happy to spread the word through my network. I have a lot of relationships with bankers and local banks,
That's
so
great.
I'm happy to do that. And I think it's a great idea to have the face-to-face meet up with people, because like Tessa said, the type of businesses you're targeting for the Maker program are nervous, and the more human you can make it, the better. The more, they'll feel more confident, I think. So
Absolutely.
that's great.
Why do I get the feeling we don't want it to be the best-kept secret?
Yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah, it's true.
right.
It's true. It's really, I think I'm excited. I feel, as this is my last meeting, I'm excited to see that this is finally happening. So thank you to all the staff that made this happen, and can't wait to help you guys get the word out. Anything else? Okay. So we'll go on to the next item on the agenda, which is project and property updates. The first one here I see is Whiting Farms Road, the land that we...
Yep.
I can touch on that a little bit, but I also think maybe we can talk about a couple of things here, maybe, or other business that maybe not on this list in terms of potential projects.
Yeah, yep.
But Whiting Farm Road land, it's the land as you go up Whiting Farm Road, as we've shown on maps and before, it's up on the hill, and we extended the agreement, or we're in the process of making it official, extending the agreement with the HG&E on developing that property, and I think really developing a good partnership with HG&E, or continuing that really good partnership, but with a focus on marketing and getting the word out. Again, maybe some direct mailings, there have been inquiries on it, and again, our use is pretty limited in terms of the industrial with some commercial. Other uses have surfaced. One specifically, you may have heard a little bit in the media, is the hydrogen interest. One of the companies has made this a site that they would like to possibly pursue if they get their funding. We'll talk a little bit about that, I think. So, so
Okay.
that's about it. We're looking at it with the HG&E and how to better, again, give it better exposure and try to find that development that's going to be a nice fit.
Great. Any questions?
Did-
Carl?
If I may, did we find out who's gonna do the sign? They, us?
No, not fully yet. We have brought it up with them, but we know it needs to be removed or replaced or, yep.
Yep, okay.
It's one way of getting it out there.
Anyone else? All right. Thank you for that update. Race Street.
Yeah, I thought it was important to mention with the land that's in between, if folks know where the Cubit development is, and on the opposite end, actually the same developers of the Cubit are doing the Armor Building. We through the redevelopment authority, had an option agreement with them to develop the site for approximately 3 or 4 years now. And they've just been unable to, with all the changes in development and the economy in the world, that they just haven't been able to go forward. We went through the city council to approve the project for a tax incentive, both for the commercial development and the housing development incentive program. And basically, they're unable to go forward at this point. So we're still working with them, but also potential other buyers. And so we wanted to mention to HEDIC, because HEDIC actually owns some of the land there or has an interest in some of the land there. Some of the board members may recall, early on the redevelopment authority's existence, HEDIC was very cooperative to help fund the HRA initially with a cash and grant of $100,000, as well as providing some land around Ray Street. And so HEDIC is entitled to a portion of the sale price when it does sell. Again, another scenario where we've been approached for different uses, but we want to have a use that really brings some vitality and more vitality to that Ray Street area. So we'll continue to work with the developers, Marco and Dennis, who we had this development with, but now we're going to try to see if there's other uses. Actually, we had a meeting scheduled this week with a developer out of Maine, I believe, that does a really interesting project that's, it's been pushed back into, I think, mid to late July now. But, so I think it was important to let the board know.
Yeah.
And then, so just a kind of a quick update, and you might have read some of this. I did a quick presentation to the planning board a couple weeks ago. So just the 3 buckets I'll mention, the 3 potential developments that are coming. HEDIC may have a role, and also it'll be interesting to see how Holyoke is able to capitalize on these. So for the last 2 months, John, myself, Marie as well, and Jennifer have been getting a hydro power education. The fun thing about this job is you're always learning something new. So we have 3 hydrogen companies that are looking at Holyoke right now. One of them is called Revo Zero. They actually make hydrogen. They are actually renting a space they are leasing a space in Holyoke now to get a footprint. They do eventually want to own property and expand. So they're talking right now with their special permit process. And their sort of business model is not only the manufacturing and the delivery of hydrogen, but to help either municipalities or places such as airports, where they actually have a contract with 20 airports in the area to sort of slowly transition the fleet from gas-powered vehicles to hydrogen-powered vehicles. None other than our own Gary Rome has been at the table, because Hyundai is one of the companies that does make a hydrogen vehicle. So this is pretty exciting, and could be really something interesting for the city of Holyoke. One thing that councilors may be looking at this fall is we may need to sort of rework our ordinances around fueling stations to include hydrogen and not just fuel as gasoline. So this is pretty exciting. The other company John made reference to is a pretty large established company, Infinity, and they primarily are looking at the former coal plant, Mount Tom coal plant in Mount Tom here in Holyoke. They are working on a federal grant. I should say that the reason why this is becoming of interest is there are federal tax credits and federal grant programs to incentivize the production and use of hydrogen, as we've seen in California. So this is trying to spread across the country now. Infinity makes the fuel cells and makes the electrolyzers, I think that's what they're called. And they're more manufacturing. So this would be a manufacturing company, which is very exciting. And then the last company that is showing interest, they're looking to pilot their new technology. They're a company that, pretty major company called Doosan, and one of their companies underneath Doosan is this High Axiom. Actually, one of our own Holyoke residents is an engineer there, and so they're testing out new innovative ways and more efficient ways using Connex boxes to generate hydrogen hopefully using renewable energies, hence the connection here in Holyoke. So we've brought HG&E to the table. They're looking to sort of pilot and test their new technologies and hopefully partner with a company here in Holyoke, a manufacturing type company that uses natural gas to first cut their natural gas use between 5 to 30% by using hydrogen. I guess it's very similar fuel that can run the equipment, but if they can find a company that could also use the excess heat that comes off this production, they could get to 90 to 98% efficiency with this. So not only could they reduce their natural gas use, but then they could also utilize the natural heat, again, reducing some of their business costs. There's a couple companies that were already kind of on our radar to think about this, so it's pretty exciting. And again, Holyoke Gas and Electric is at the table with them to sort of talk about piloting some of this technology. The other company that some of you may have heard about, they were recently on the top fold of the Boston Globe, coming out of Greentown Labs out in Somerville area, is a company called Sublime. Again, our continued education. I did not know that the creation of cement is one of the worst things for the environment, worse than actually the aero industry, so meaning the airplanes that have lots of carbon emissions and are bad for the environment. Cement is even worse. So we all know that cement is used on everywhere, everything, and the production of it is very bad for the environment. This company has a much more friendly, environmentally friendly process, and the cement is just as good and just as strong. They're moving from test phases to their first stage of production. So they're talking with us at some properties here in Holyoke, a pretty major investment. John is working with them and the Mass Office of Business Development on a potential TIF project. You may also connect the dots here if you were watching the ARPA allocations that Mayor Garcia made. There's an issue in the area that they're looking at that there is no water. And so there's been ARPA allocations made that if this company purchases this property, the city will use $1.3 million for the water infrastructure that's needed in that area. So pretty great conversation going on with the owner of the property. Obviously, the city stepping up to help them. Because again, if you were to develop anywhere else pretty much in the city, any developer would have the cost of the piping on that property, but they would be connecting to a main line, for sewer and water in the street. There is no main line for them to connect to in this area. So working with Dave Conti, this area's been on his list. And so, again, there would be something that the fire department would be interested in, because also would have redundancy for fire protection in the neighborhood in that area. And of course, the water department would like to see it in this area as well. So all things coming together, perhaps, to have a really great company, Sublime, come to the city of Holyoke. So Sublime, again, is this eco-friendly cement company. Again, they were recently on the Boston Globe as one of the companies to watch. And lastly, John referenced, I think even before cannabis came to town, a lot of us were talking about urban farming and the need for a food economy that's local, and the way that we have asset, again, with our clean energy and our water infrastructure to have urban farming. So there is an individual that was actually talking to the city years ago, when my predecessor was still here, Marcos Marrero, and John spoke to this individual. He's reached back out. He's finished a project in Maine, a large-scale, multi-story indoor growing facility that collaborates with a bunch of smaller vendors. They're actually part of a whole development that had a parking garage and housing connected to it, so major development that is open in Maine. So he had to reschedule, but he's rescheduled for mid-July. And we are very interested in talking with him about potentially the property down on Ray Street. But also, as a side note, probably many of you have read also that True Leaf is pulling their operations out of Massachusetts and Colorado. They've invested $40+ million into the city of Holyoke at the former Conklin site. I spoke to them, I spoke to their broker, and, they're going to try to get an operator. They're gonna try to get somebody else in there. I thought that's a little bit of a pipe dream, so to speak, in the industry. We like all the puns we can when it comes to the cannabis industry, so, and I did say, another option for True Leaf would be to just give us the building, give it to the HRA, write it off on your taxes, and then the HRA or HEDIC could sell it for $100,000, not to make money and get urban farming going. I don't think they're gonna take me up on my offer, but you never know. So we can't help, it doesn't hurt to try. But there already has been some interest from Mass Development and others as to the reuse of the True Leaf building, and it would be amazing for indoor farming because all the infrastructure is already there. So those are kind of the three big sort of topics that at some point definitely some of these hydrogen companies will probably be coming across our desk to some degree, and perhaps Sublime as well. I don't know if there's anything else to add on that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Great updates.
All right.
I'm into it. Any questions? Carl?
Just one thing to
Oh,
keep in mind, as Aaron was talking, was some of these contacts have come, you mentioned a source with Doosan having a Hoyle connection. I think some of these other inquiries also have a connection, whether it was a former business colleague or something. So there's folks that have had a presence here that are recommending other people that come here for.
That's great.
So it's good to mention.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Joe?
Maybe True Leaf, if they can't find someone to go in to manufacture marijuana, could enter into a lease agreement, to cut their losses and maybe
Right.
long-term.
Maybe, yeah, I'm trying. Absolutely.
Carl, did you have anything you wanted
Just
to?
puts a new definition to the old term, that instead of it being True Leaf, turned over to a new leaf.
There he is. There he is.
You're on fire tonight.
That's
I like it.
good.
Nice.
Here for it,
I like
Carl.
it.
That's
Okay.
awesome. All right. Well, thank you for those updates. The next item on the agenda, board reorganization.
So, board reorganization, so obviously we have transitions happening, as was sort of alluded to by the Madam Chair, that this is your last meeting. And we know that there's been a recommendation, I believe it's at the City Council Public Service agenda coming up.
Last night,
Oh,
actually.
it was
It
actually-
was
it was actually last
discussed,
night.
yeah.
Okay.
I missed it, but.
I don't know if there'll be any update there, but so obviously, the reorganization, typically, the mayor appoints a chair and a vice chair, and then the committee appoints the other two officers. The mayor, in his style, said, well, the board should decide. So, he kind of kicked it back to us, but, I mean, we get what he's sort of saying, he wants to have, consensus from the board. Obviously, there may be some other transitions happening to this board over the next 6 months to a year. And so, we're in talks with some other people that may be interested in serving on this board. But we do need to at least go back to the mayor with a recommendation, I guess, as to a chair and a vice chair. We've had some preliminary conversations with some of the people around this table, so I guess we would probably look for some kind of, if not official vote, at least some kind of consensus, that we could go back to the mayor and say, these will be the two individuals for you to appoint as chair and vice chair. And I think that I would maybe ask if there's anything else to add from John, or I know that we've sort of talked to a couple individuals on here, and we know some people can't take on this leadership role, which is totally understandable. Probably not too much of a lift, except if we see some of these loan programs coming forward, which would be great, but I turn it over to the members to add their 2 cents on that. But I don't know if there was an update from public service. I'm not sure
Well,
if there.
there was, they interviewed the candidate, last night, I think just one test, right?
Yeah,
Just one, yeah.
Yeah, but the final vote will be the city council in the August meeting, which
August
is the
meeting.
first Tuesday, so
yep.
we won't see anybody in this body until. sometime
Did they
in
just
August.
recommend it out of committee? I didn't watch. I had to
was
work.
Had a conflict,
All right,
but it was Mike Sullivan that was
Yeah.
interviewed.
Yep.
It was,
yep, okay.
So would that vote come up? during
First
the summer?
Tuesday in August,
Oh, okay.
yeah, the final vote.
So he'll be ready for our August meeting if we have one, but then definitely September. I mean, I guess I mean, unless, our plan at this point, we may have to meet if we have to do anything, well, maybe just updates to the possible, short-term loans, short-term CDs, we'll keep you abreast of that. Really, at this point, we're sort of, unless we get an application, we'll just keep everyone abreast of what's going on. And we may not need to meet in the summer, definitely would reconvene in September, but again, if we do get any loan applications that pass through the pre-app, we would have to reconvene. But I think that there's some interest from one or two individuals on the board to step up to be the chair and the vice chair, but I'm not sure how we want to do that.
So currently, we have, what, 5 members?
We have 6.
There's seven total.
Oh, yeah,
Seven.
Tony, I forgot.
Antonio
Oh,
and
and-
Rosa.
Rosa.
Well, it's
Yeah.
6 after tonight.
Right. Right.
That's true.
And I didn't print out I do have it in my office, I don't have the terms that where everybody's at, so, but.
I've made a
Oh, you
copy.
did? Oh, nice.
So,
That's why we work together. Exactly. We all-
That's right.
Everybody else is okay, I
yeah,
think.
everyone's fine.
Yep.
So I feel like I'm not gonna I'm the one leaving, so I feel like it's kind of messed up for me to be like, you know who I think should take over?
Well, we do, I mean, so, I'm happy to move this, I mean, so we do know that, Mr. Carl Eager has voiced interest in being chair, and she might not have voiced her own interest, but we did talk to Callie, about being vice chair. I think that'd be a great team.
Yeah.
Some institutional knowledge, some new blood, and sort of, again, it's a one-year appointment. I think that'd be a good combination, that we can come back and revisit the other 2 positions, which are treasurer and clerk.
Secretary
And clerk,
and clerk.
so.
I-
Those-
I'm
those are
happy to
the
help
level.
out. I'm happy to help out, step up and help out where I can. And I feel like I'm still the new
Yeah.
kid on the team, so I'm still kind of learning the mechanics of the board and whatnot. So, but I'm happy to fill in,
You get
for,
lots of support, as you said, so.
Yeah.
vice chair, so.
Yes. And staff is very helpful for people that may or may not have ended up in this position without planning on it. Just to say, yes.
I think Carl is a fantastic choice, and we thank Callie for stepping up. But Callie, wouldn't you rather be treasurer?
Does that mean you want to be vice chair?
I didn't, no,
Oh.
that's not what I'm saying. Callie would be a better treasurer than me.
Are you the treasurer?
Yeah, because I wasn't at the meeting they appointed me.
Yeah, exactly, well, right. Well, is Mark still here? Can we appoint him treasurer or clerk? 'Cause is he,
No, I'm fine with the 2 suggestions. I think it'd be great.
Okay.
Mark, I know, Mark, we spoke, I know you've got a lot going on right now to
Yeah.
take, yeah.
Yeah, just so many things right now for me. I mean, I appreciate the thought process, but I don't think I could do that right now.
Okay, yep.
I respect that. So do we just, do you need a vote if it's a recommendation or what?
I don't think we need a vote.
I mean, like,
It seems to be consensus.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's really the mayor's choice.
It's really
Right,
Mayor's choice. He
yeah.
just
It
wanted to
should
make-
be. It's not only, he doesn't have the right to give that up.
yeah, nice try, Mayor,
You know?
if you're watching this, or,
I'll
which
remind
I
him.
bet you are.
One of the reasons I'm treasurer is because I worked next door, and it used to be only 2 of us could sign the checks. But we took care of that with letting everybody sign checks, as a board, trusting everybody.
Yeah.
So, Callie, if you don't want to be treasurer, it's okay.
One thing at a time.
One thing, exactly.
I mean, can I do both roles? I don't know if I'd have time to or no.
Well,
Yeah, I'd have to
there's
be
really not
one or
a-
the
I
other,
think
so.
we can talk to, well, we'll talk to, I think at our next meeting, we'll talk about those other 2 roles. I mean, other than, it's really the signing of the checks. And the clerk position, with all the staff support, I think that the clerk position is really a ceremonial title in some ways. Important, but ceremonial.
Yeah. Okay.
But as a corporation, officers do have a role, and I don't want to say liability, but we do have to recognize, because we are under the statute,
Yep.
a corporation, so it's important. And insurance is well caught up, because I check all the time with staff to make sure our liability insurance is correct.
Absolutely.
121.
Here for it.
So no, I think we'll let the mayor know, and then we'll converse about the other 2 positions.
Okay. All right. Well, the board's in good hands.
The
Yes,
board's in-
John?
Well, I think maybe this is a good opportunity. I think I think I can speak for Aaron and the staff. I mean, HEDIC had a lull for a period of time. Redevelopment Authority had a lot of activity, but, you know, we appreciate the board members for stepping up and sticking with us, and the new members that have come on board, so we really, you know, I think we really appreciate it. And I do feel and sense and know that we're ramping things up, so, so thank you all. Just wanted to.
It's
You guys
super
are trying
exciting.
not to stick with us.
Yeah.
John's right. I mean, it's, you know, when I came on, I was like, let's, you know, let's get this tool in the toolbox back out. So it's taken
Yeah.
a little while, but, you know, we got the loan program, and Marie and John worked hard on that, and so, I think that'll be great, and I think, again, as these companies come forward, I think there'll be another role for us here.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right.
Are we going into executive session?
I don't believe so.
We don't need to.
Yeah, the only action would be some older minutes, but that's not something that is, we do like to eventually release them.
Yeah.
I haven't considered, or we haven't considered whether they'd be released, but.
Okay. All right.
John, how old are they?
These are a few months old, I think going back to May, I believe.
We can release them,
Oh, I'm sorry, these are November of '22.
but they can be released, or?
They haven't been voted on. We haven't gone into executive session.
Right.
since then.
Yeah.
You or Tess should make that decision, whether you, we can go in and out just to get the minutes, so you guys will get them on the council.
If you
The-
want
the-
those
When
to
we
be
say
released.
release, it's whatever we talked about in executive session is no longer executive session, because the final action took place, or it's no longer necessary to.
Right, correct, yeah. One suggestion is, we may have some older executive minutes that have not been released yet. I think.
Not ready tonight?
Not ready tonight, but I think we could consider those at a future meeting.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Make
Yeah.
sure for the next meeting.
And the reason what I said earlier too, is the city council loves, we are the only body that releases executive session minutes. City council doesn't even release their executive session minutes. Of course, they shouldn't, because I've been in a few of those, and you don't want to read them, believe me.
Believe it.
But it's important, because I think it shows the transparency in this group and what we do, and, because not everybody believes in HEDIC.
That's true,
No,
Joe. But we do.
we do.
Yep. It's great. All right, so looks like we'll hold off on executive session until a future date. Any other business?
Yes.
Yes.
Before we adjourn, Chair Murphy Ramboletti, I'd just like to say a personal thank you for your service on HEDIC. It's a pleasure
Thanks.
working with you as a city councilor, but it's much more a pleasure seeing you in action here. And you fake it on the city council pretending to be new, and you come in here and run the whole meeting like it's secondhand. Thank you.
I'm still new. I
HEDIC is gonna
appreciate
miss
it.
ya.
Thank you. This board is very special to me. This is where I started all the things. Carl interviewed me, John interviewed me. Yep.
no, you
And
interviewed
then
me.
she interviewed us.
Yeah, exactly.
So I appreciate it. This is where where I learned all the things. So it's bittersweet, but I feel really, really excited about what's happening next. And it's good to see everything coming to fruition. So I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah. And with that,
Thank you.
thanks, Mark. Thanks for teaching me soccer in the 90s.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn? All those in favor?
I'm still teaching if you're interested in another lesson.
Oh, good to know. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, we'll do a roll call to close.
Mark Cutting. Callie Flanagan.
Here,
Joseph
Yes.
McEvan.
Yes.
And Carl Eager.
Yes.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. Tessa.
Yes. Just making it official.
And thank the
Awesome.
staff again for making us
Yes.
look good.
Thank you, staff.